You're now enrolled in the School of BlackNegroJitsu. Is it your first day? Don't worry, the master, Leroy Stephen, and his co-instructors Dave, Mike, and Kyle will take it easy on you, rookie. Enroll in the School of BlackNegroJitsu right now. It's free. All you have to do. There's no hidden costs, no hidden fees. Hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you're on. iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play. Hit subscribe, get enrolled, and you'll get completely free access to all of our classes. That's the School of BlackNegroJitsu. That's our main mixed martial arts class. Then we also have our two fantasy classes, the MMA Edge Fantasy Podcast and Black Market Picks. And we also have other offerings at the school, interviews, other random things. Enroll now. It's free, guys. Welcome to the School of BlackNegroJitsu Class 16. I'm your host, the Master of BlackNegroJitsu, Leroy Stephen. And today, I'm joined by my co-host, Dave Mark. What's good, Dave?
Nothing, Leroy. Everything's great. Just coming off a great weekend of scraps from UFC to Miguel Cotto's last fight to EBI 14. So, just getting ready to get the ball rolling on School of BlackNegroJitsu Class 16.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got a lot on tap for you today. We've got a Thiabault Gouti interview. Very interesting. That's the first Frenchman I've had on the show. Been waiting to do a French podcast for ages now as I speak French. We also have Albert Warrior Morales, who's going to be fighting this weekend on UFC Fight Night 123, Swanson versus Ortega. Great to talk to him, see where his head is at. I'm planning on having a lot of him on DraftKings after talking to him. We're going to do the UFC 218 recap. Great fight card. We're going to do the UFC Fight Night 123 preview. And I guess did you watch TUF Finale 26 or not?
I didn't catch all of it. I caught some of the fights. Once we start going down the list of fights, I'll let you know what I did and didn't catch because I actually don't even remember offhand. I know I didn't catch the last fight. I turned it off before the last fight, but I did catch some of the main card.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's just start off with TUF Finale 26. Which was perfect for me on DraftKings. I would have had all the money. I had all the right picks. But a tragedy occurred during the prelims. Let's go over it. I had a whole load of Jillian Robinson over Emily Whitmire. So I had the biggest key play of the night. First round submission by armbar. I think there were like 5 armbar finishes on this card. It set a record or something like that. Then we had Shayna Dobson beating Ariel Beck in a back-and-forth fight. The better athlete won out. No surprise there. I really liked Ariel Beck in there. She had more experience. Next up, we had Rachel Ostovich. One of the top, I think, prospective draws in the UFC women's flyweight division. Very good-looking, very good as a fighter. Going up against Karine Gavorgian. Submission by armbar. That was the second armbar tonight. Then what messed up all my DraftKings teams, Ryan James comes back. I mean, this is how sad this is. Ryan James didn't win because he's necessarily a great fighter. He didn't win because of any sort of techniques. He won because Andrew Sanchez got so tired whipping his ass that
So TKO tired from whipping his ass.
He whipped his ass so bad in the first round. I mean, if they would have stopped the fight in the first round at any point after those 3 knockdowns, I think there were, people would have been like, the stoppage wasn't soon enough. They kept letting the shit go. And sure enough, here comes Ryan James. And Andrew Sanchez is so fucking tired from just beating his ass. I mean, it was ridiculous, that somehow Ryan James takes over in the second and finishes him in the third. And this completely ruined all my DraftKings teams. It should have never happened. Ryan James really doesn't deserve to win. I mean, he's super tough. You got to give it to him for that. He got his ass kicked and he kept fighting. Got to give it to him for toughness. But, I mean, winning by way of fatigue due to somebody beating your ass is not it.
So this is actually one of the fights I did see, and I'm just gonna intervene here, and I don't know what it is about Andrew Sanchez. I don't know if he's just fallen in love with his stand up, but he looks night and day different from the same guy who beat Khalil Roundtree in the TUF Finale when Joanna and Claudia had their two teams. He absolutely minimized all Khalil's stand up by wrestling him and really going to his wrestling background. I don't know why he's gotten away from that. It
Because
seems
he
like
was beating his ass. That's why.
but,
I mean, he
but it
beat
seems
the shit out of him. He got 3 takedowns, too. If he would have won that fight in the first, he'd have scored like 150 points. It was ridiculous.
But
like
that's two fights. That's 2 fights in a row. He's gassed from beating the shit out of somebody, and then got stopped.
When you're whipping somebody's ass, you got to pace yourself. It's actually not good to be that lopsided a fight because Khalil Roundtree fight was competitive in a way. So Andrew Sanchez didn't get as tired. But when you're just dominating somebody and beating on them and looking for the finish, then if you're not careful, you'll gas out. So Andrew Sanchez has lost 2 fights by way of kicking somebody's ass so bad that he got tired and didn't have anything left. He just has to learn how to manage his energy better. That's all. I mean, Ryan James was in no way better than him on the ground, standing, just bad, just bad luck. He should have been trying to finish the fight. It should have been stopped, but whatever. I guess that's the fight game, especially in mixed martial arts sometimes. Next up, we have Montella De La Rosa finishing off Christina Marks by another armbar. Not shocking at all. Marks has been finished by submission in her last 7 or so fights. Brett Johns beats Joe Soto with a calf slicer. What? Completely dumbfounded by that. I would never expect Joe Soto to be outdone in the area of lead locks, especially like that, especially by a calf slicer. What? Very impressive by Brett Johns. So Deanna Bendit and Melinda Fabian, terrible fight, ends in a draw. I'm not even going to talk about that. Gerald Meerschaert and Eric Spicely in a back and forth fight. Eric Spicely dominating the fight on the ground. Meerschaert was able to keep it off the ground and keep it standing. Finish Spicely with a body kick. Spicely is coming along. He's looking better and better in each fight. He's a problem for whoever he's facing because his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was top level. Lauren Murphy with a huge upset over Barb Hanchak, winning by split decision. I thought she deserved it. Lauren Murphy is a tough out for anybody. People need to quit sleeping on her. Made her that big of an underdog. She's never that big of an underdog. She's got top level grappling and striking and a huge work ethic and gas tank. Sean O'Malley versus Terrion Ware. This should have been a main event on a fight night. This is a really good fight. Back and forth. 29-28 unanimous decision. I agree with it. Had both these guys on the show, Sugar Sean and Terrion Ware. I forget what class Sugar Sean is on. Is it like 12 or 11? I forget. But love talking to both of these guys. A great fight. That should have been a main event, though, for both those young up-and-comers. Terrion Ware looked like he just gassed out from the pace he was pushing. Hard to push that pace against somebody who's in good shape like O'Malley. Great fight. Would love to see a rematch one day, but both of these guys have nothing to be ashamed of. It was awesome. Terrion Ware, he just needs an easier fight, I guess. He's a top-level fighter. And last off, Nico Montana takes the flyweight championship over Roxanne Modafferi. One of these two is bound to get sacrificed to Valentina Shevchenko or somebody else, and looks like it'll be Montana. I hope they give her an easier fight, give her an Invicta girl or something like that. Don't throw it to Shevchenko or Jacek or anything crazy like that. She's not quite ready for that. But I think she has a bright future. She's going to continue to get better. She only got 6 professional fights, so I hope they take that one slow and keep that one pure. Maybe have her go up against Paige Van Zandt. Keep it in between people that have similar experience levels. Let's go on to UFC 218. We all watched this though. This was an awesome fight card. I really enjoyed it from top to bottom. And it was awesome. The only thing that went wrong for me here was my DraftKings teams. And that's about it. But first fight of the night. What did you think of the card overall?
I thought the card was amazing. Plenty of violence. There was no real boring fights I could think of offhand. I just top to bottom, I agree. I thought it was a great card, and there's definitely, when we get into the fights, there's definitely some takes that I'm going to have that you may or may not agree with. So I'm just going to let you get started and get into the fights.
Oh yeah, let's get into it. Justin Willis, predictably, at least to me, finishes Alan Crowder. I think Alan Crowder, he's big, he's athletic, but man, is he sloppy. Justin Willis is a lot farther along in his development. And absolutely, coming from AKA, he's got strong striking, strong wrestling. Put Crowder away within the first round. Dominique Reyes was able to show us a different side of his game. Beats Jeremy Kimball by submission, rear naked choke in the first round. Jeremy Kimball didn't do that bad at all. I mean, he didn't get knocked out. I was expecting if he lost, he'd get knocked out. But he came in. Did he take Reyes' back at one point, Dave?
I don't recall if he took Reyes' back or not, but
I forget. I think he took him down or something like that. Reyes gets up and then takes him down and takes his back and chokes him out. But Kimball's not a scrub, man. He's not that athletic. That's the thing that'll stop him from ever being probably a champion. But he's a hell of a fighter. Reyes passed a tough test there and showed us that he's a complete fighter. So he's got a really bright future. I'm really going to be excited to see things from him in the future. And the most controversial moment of the night, Abdul Razak Al Hassan, who we had on the show a couple weeks ago. Go check out the School of Black Negro Jitsu library on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play. But we had him on against Saba Hamasi, who it was revealed is an ex-stripper. Used to make and then from what I understand is still, I know some of his American Top Team teammates, he's still making a living as a stripper. But anyway, he got kind of robbed in this fight. He didn't get knocked out. He slipped or something, and he grabbed onto a single.
It was something along the lines of, if I recall correctly, Al Razak Hassan was holding his head down, and it's something along those lines. And Herb Dean thought that he was out and called the fight.
It kind of looked like he went out, though, the way he fell, but I don't even think he got hit. I think he just fell. I think Saba Hamasi was on the way to winning that fight. Al Hassan gets kind of lucky there. Hamasi is a tough out, man, but he got robbed there. I like to see this be a rematch or something like that. Hamasi's got he's not a pushover at all. I had him on my DraftKings plays. I thought he was a really strong play. Amanda Bobby Cooper absolutely smashes on Angela Magana, who I don't even think is, well, I guess she's a UFC level fighter, but I don't know. Maybe in one of those Fight Pass China cards against a debuting Chinese fighter or something like that.
I don't think I collectively saw more people on Twitter happier in my entire life than when Angela Magana got smashed by ABC.
She is the best heel in the business. They should have her on China cards, insulting people. I love it. She's a real bad girl. Everybody hates her. So, yeah. Felice Herrig and Courtney Casey in the worst fight of the night. They were flicking each other off and cussing each other out and not fighting each other. I don't know what that was about. In the next bout, Herb Dean continued to fuck up as he did in the Al Hassan fight, and he was threatening to take a point from David Tamor in the Drakkar Close fight. I think Herb Dean might have smoked right before he went into the octagon tonight. I think
maybe he smoked up with Sean O'Malley. Who knows?
I think usually on fight nights, I think Herb Dean wakes and bakes. But apparently, this fight night, he said fuck it, and he was in the back vaping or something like that because he was fucking up all night. I mean, why does David Tamor have to come forward and do what Drakkar Close says? I don't know. But I think Herb Dean had the munchies was like, listen, motherfucker, I want some Cheetos. Let's get into this fight and get a knockout so I can get to the back. and feed my munchies habit, man. I know Herb Dean smokes, man. He's got the dreads. He's got he looks like a smoker. I know he is. Anyway, Yancy Medeiros up against Alex Oliveira. In the fight of the night, I don't know where Yancy Medeiros' defense was in the beginning of the fight, but eventually he found it and was able to finish Cowboy Oliveira in the second round. Cowboy pushed too hard a pace in that first and second, didn't have anything left in the third. Yancy Medeiros put him away in an absolute barn burner. I thought Medeiros was finished in that first round, but he came back. And I think referee Bobby Wambacher, who we had on last week, he reffed this fight. And as a matter of fact, which was, I think, one of 2 fight of the night candidates. Then we had Paul Felder versus Charles Oliveira. This went exactly as I expected. You know, if Charles Oliveira doesn't finish in the first round by submission, he always quits and gets beaten up and finished himself. That's just the way he does it. He's lazy. Well, he's not lazy. He just, when the going gets tough, Charles Oliveira quits. That's what Charles Oliveira does.
He just doesn't have that same work ethic that Paul Felder has. He
works hard, but when the fight starts to get tough and he starts to get beat up and shit, like, he's not good. He wants out, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if his jiu-jitsu and working, you know, and he can't do what he wants, then fuck it. Like, Charles Oliveira is like, get the towel ready.
Fuck this shit. Just knock me out.
Yeah, fuck it,
just
man.
Send me home.
Man. It's weird. Top level fighter, but I don't think he has a heart to be a champion. Not to say he's like soft, but he just when the going gets tough, the champions like Gordon Ryan did. Well, we'll get to that. They tough it out. Not Charles Oliveira. Tisha Torres smashes on Michelle Watterson. Pretty good. Tisha Torres put a beating on Michelle Watterson. She lost the second round, but first and third were pretty lopsided. Then, fight of the night, predictably, Justin Gaethje and Eddie Alvarez. I went back and rewatched this fight, and it was a lot closer than I thought. I thought Justin Gaethje was getting beat up when I was watching it live, but when I went back and watched, he was really shelling up good. He's really protecting himself, and he was landing vicious leg kicks. As a matter of fact, so I thought he won the first. He lost the second, and he was winning the third. I think if the fight finishes, Justin Gaethje wins because he dropped Eddie Alvarez twice. Remember in that third round, Eddie had to pull guard because his leg was gone, and then he got knocked down again. So, you know, Justin Gaethje was beating his ass, and then he got knocked out like he said he would, and I had 100% of him on DraftKings like a dumbass. I faded Eddie Alvarez because I believe, because last time, guess what I did? I faded Justin Gaethje. So I don't fucking know about Justin. I don't know how to call Justin Gaethje. I need a Justin Gaethje whisperer. Dave, what do you think of this fight?
I thought it was a scrap. I need to go back and rewatch it because I took notice of Gaethje. I think that, like everyone did, taking out Eddie's legs with those vicious leg kicks. I guess watching it live, it didn't seem that he was shelling up as much as you're saying he is. It seemed like Eddie Alvarez was doing some damage with some vicious body shots before he caught Gaethje with that knee that ended the fight. But I definitely have to go back, rewatch it. I think there's just recency. I think you might have had recency bias. I might have had recency bias, and a lot of us wrote Eddie off after he was almost stopped by Poirier before the whole illegal.
Eddie always gets clipped. He didn't even get clipped. Well, yes, he did. He got clipped, and I don't know, man. Justin Gaethje is irresponsible, and that's why I picked Michael Johnson over him. But I seen him survive that shit, so I was like, fuck it. I know Glassjaw is going to get, because Eddie always gets caught, you know, in every fight he gets hurt. I was like, if he gets hurt here, Justin Gaethje is going to put his ass away. I was like, perfect matchup. My stupid ass. I don't know why I did. I hedged everything else right, except for Eddie Alvarez.
I think we need to have a Poirier, Gaethje, and Alvarez triple threat match at this fucking point.
Poirier, I like Poirier. I think Poirier put the beating on Justin Gaethje, man. Poirier is very hurtable, but only with people who have good boxing, and Justin Gaethje doesn't have that. So I don't think the leg kicks. Eddie Alvarez leg kicks. He was very susceptible to leg kicks. So I guess I made the right pick, but I don't fucking know. It didn't work out. Ruined my weekend. I was having a great weekend until that shit. Anyway, Henry Cejudo beats up on Sergio Pettis. Should have seen that coming. I thought Sergio would do better, but his takedown defense ain't good enough to deal with that. And then, oh my OMF and G, motherfucking Francis Ngannou ghosted motherfucking Alistair Overeem's ass, man.
He committed murder. He's wanted in Detroit for fucking murder.
A candlelight vigil is set to be held in the Netherlands. I believe it was held today for Alistair Overeem. I mean, his toes fucking curled up, man. He went stiff. I mean, that is the most ferocious shit I have ever seen. Oh my god!
I saw a tweet that had me in fucking tears. Somebody tweeted, Alistair Overeem got up with a big smile on his face after getting KO'd like that. Like he was accustomed to that. Like he just got a good night's sleep. Man. I was fucking hysterical when I read that. I seen
him, you know how The Rock would always do that smelling motion, you know? And then they did Overeem getting fucking ghosted. God. And they did them side by side, and they looked just alike. Man. Ngannou told him he was sleeping, then he put him to sleep. That was absolutely horrible. One of the worst KOs I have ever seen.
He is a scary, scary man.
Stipe Miocic, your funeral is upcoming, brother. I wouldn't. I mean, that really shows how tough Curtis Blades is, because he took a lot of that and wanted more. So I got to give it to Curtis Blades, because he took it and kept on coming. I don't know how either. Anyway, on to the main event. Max Holloway does the same thing he did in the first fight and finishes Jose Aldo in the third, I believe. I think he finished him in the third last. It looked like the exact same fight. So, yeah, nothing changed there. Jose Aldo is a great fighter. The only people he's lost to have been, like, what? Conor McGregor, no shame in that. Max Holloway twice. Max Holloway will be an all-time great, no shame in that. And God, who else did he lose to? I can't even think. Luciano Azevedo, way back in the way. So Jose Aldo didn't lose for like 10 years, like a decade, man. So one of the very all-time greats. We're tending to forget that, but I don't think many people in the world can beat him. Just Max Holloway, Conor McGregor, who else?
So here's what I was saying, where I'm going to get some strong disagreement, and I think it might be time for Jose to hang it up, unless he decides to maybe move up a weight class and move up to 155. I think he's still a good fighter, and he's obviously lost to two of the better fighters in the UFC, especially at 145, right? In Max Holloway and Conor. And Conor might have taken his soul after he knocked him out in 13 seconds. He did look good against Frankie Edgar after that Conor fight. But I just think that there's no reason for Aldo to linger around 145 if he's not really going to get another shot at the championship, or if he can't dethrone the current champion. So for him, I think the way it's got to play out is basically kind of like Rose beating Joanna, right? Where Joanna kind of had a stranglehold on that whole division, and Styles make fights. And now I feel like there's certain fighters that can beat Rose, but couldn't beat Joanna. So unless somebody like Frankie beats Max, which I don't see happening, right? I don't think Aldo has another path to the championship. So I think he's got to move up, and he's a championship caliber fighter. So there's no reason for him, unless he really needs the money, to continue fight mid-tier guys, or unless he moves up to 155 and eventually wants to fight Tony Ferguson, possibly for the title if they give him that title shot. Because I think
he wants to box now. I think that'd be good for him. It's not that he sucks; he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. And I don't disagree. I just don't think he has another path to the championship.
He still can make money though. He's still a draw.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he's only like 29 too, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he's that old. Yeah,
he's like 29 years old, man. Like, dude he looks like he's about 40, but he looks like he's a 40-year-old Colombian drug dealer. But Jose is he's got that scar in his fucking face and everything, man. Jose is about 29 years old, I think, man. He still hadn't even reached 30. So
I think it's that creepy mustache.
Jose's looked old his entire adulthood.
He came out the womb looking like he was
He
35.
probably looked like that when he came out. But anyway, let's get on to I guess Fight Night 123 preview. Before we do though, I've got one of the fighters on the card here. He'll be fighting up against Benito Lopez at 135 pounds. From Benito Lopez coming from Dana White's looking for a fight. Let's welcome Albert Morales to the school of BlackNegroJitsu. Albert Warrior Morales, welcome to the School of BlackNegroJitsu. It is excellent to have you this weekend at the UFC Fight Night 1,027 Ortega versus Swanson. I forget what the number is, man, but you're going to be fighting Benito Lopez. How you feeling? That's the first question I should ask.
Man, I've never felt better, man. And you know, it's a cliche thing, but you know, honestly, I always feel like I'm getting better and better and better every day. But, you know, I just took a whole different approach. I took a real professional approach with it where, you know, all the way from diet to mentally, like, you know, sleep patterns, just everything, man. I just took everything seriously. Like, this is, you know, my whole UFC career, I always thought I was doing it the right way. I always told myself, yeah, you know, you're doing everything you can. And this is the first camp that I realized I wasn't. And you know, it's funny, like, and I'm doing a lot more.
Why do you say that? Why do you say
up.
that? You've only taken losses to really good fighters. I mean, what Brett Johns did to Joe Soto this weekend makes your performance against him, which was more. Well, we'll get into that later. But I mean, you've only taken losses to top level fighters. Thomas Almeida is what, 21-1 or 21-2. Brett Johns is undefeated. You know, what do you feel that you haven't been doing right exactly?
Man, it's just a lot, like, just preparing, dude, honestly. Like, honestly, I know I can beat any one of those guys in my best shape, like, right now, man, if you tell me to fight Brett Johns, man, it's on and cracking. I got nothing but respect for that dude, but, you know, we talk a lot on social media. We're actually, you know, I wouldn't say friends, but we're cool. Same thing with Almeida. We can get it, man. Like at this point in my career, man, I feel like I've taken a huge leap. You take your short notice fights. Both those fights were on 2 weeks notice, 2 to 3 weeks notice, you know, in other countries. You know, like I would still take those fights, but I wouldn't take them in the amount of time that I would. I should have listened to my team. I rushed it. I came into the UFC knowing that I can kill it, that I can take everybody out, and I rushed it. It's the UFC, man, and these are, you know, these guys are the best in the world, and so you got to take your time. And you got to be patient with it, man, and you got to make the right moves, and you know, it just comes with maturity. I had to go through that to get to where I'm at right now. So I understand they're great fighters, but they're great fighters I shouldn't have lost to.
Let me ask you a question. I was watching your last fight with Brett Johns, and your wrestling coach was really pissed at you about what you, I guess, should have known and did know and weren't doing. What exactly weren't you doing in that fight to deal with the wrestling clinic that he put on you in that fight that your coach was so mad at you about? Your wrestling coach. What's your wrestling coach's name?
Coach Kenny Johnson.
Okay, yeah. Kenny Johnson was pissed at Al. He was pissed at the Warrior. He was fucking hot. What did you do that had him so hot?
Man, it was just we knew exactly what Brett Johns was gonna do. You know what I mean? We knew his whole game is to press you up against the cage and it's gonna take you down. And you know what's funny is because you know, for the most part, I've never been taken down off the cage. I actually have pretty good takedown defense. My jiu-jitsu is actually my strong point. So even if I do get taken down, I have really good jiu-jitsu. I don't know how many submissions, but I have a grip of them. And it was just I didn't train as hard in those areas as I should have. These are simple things like underhooking. If his head's too low, press down. If his head is high, pull him up. You know, circling off the cage. Things that I've coming up have known what to do, and it was just a lot of thinking, man. I was in shape. I was at that time that had been the best shape I've ever been in as far as cardio. Physically, I was.
If you think while you're grappling, you're late. You know, so you can't be thinking.
Late.
You're late. You can't do that. You can't do that. So why were you thinking so much? What was the problem?
Lack of focus. Didn't train as I didn't go to as many jiu-jitsu. Like I honestly, I went to jiu-jitsu maybe like out of the whole camp, maybe like 10 times, you know what I mean? Because I was just like so confident that my ground game is always going to be there. Like I don't have to worry about it. But jiu-jitsu and anything in martial arts is a perishable skill. So if you don't continue working on it and getting better, keeping that timing, you're gonna see what's gonna happen. I didn't get submitted by Bear Johns. It wasn't like he passed my guard and took mount and all that. None of that stuff. It was just I was a step behind, you know, and that was due to training and lack of focus and timing and you know, thinking the biggest thing is that what my head coach was saying, he was like, see, all this time you kept saying during camp, I got it. And obviously we saw in the fight you didn't have it. So it was like, I don't have it. I never got it. I'm always going to work. Whatever my coach tells me to do, I'm going to do it. And it took me losing a wrestling match, getting put on my back and not doing anything for my back to realize that, man.
Yeah, man, when it comes to grappling and wrestling, I train jiu-jitsu, and one thing I realize is you gotta stay training, gotta stay sharp, because if that other guy is a step ahead of you, man, you are absolutely screwed. One thing, I was watching your opponent earlier, and I was like, well, because I play DraftKings, so I study all this stuff, but I got excited about Albert Morales on DraftKings because Benito Lopez has a few flaws. In his fight on Dana White's Contender Series, he first of all, he gassed out. Second of all, he doesn't deal with pressure fighters very well, and that's exactly what Albert Morales is. How do you feel about this matchup? Do you feel as, you don't have to give us the game plan, but do you feel as, I feel good about what you're being presented with here, man?
Definitely, man, and I feel 100% confident. This is a fight that was supposed to happen a while ago. I've evolved. I don't feel he has evolved. I actually believe that he actually fights better against pressure fighters. You know, I am going to press him, but I'm going to press him in a different way, a more educated way than what these other guys are doing. Because these guys, like you saw, I think, honestly, like, I'm not a hater. I think Benito belongs in the UFC. I think Benito will be in the UFC for a long time. But I don't think he won that fight.
Versus Steven Peterson?
Benito did. At the Contender Series. Okay, I don't think he won that fight.
It was super close, man. It was super close.
It was really close. It was. I think the flying knee knocked down the couple of them. You know what I mean? Like, he's really good at those athletic moves. Like I said, he belongs in the UFC. Not taking that away from him, but he fights really well against pressure fighters. This Peterson just kept coming at him, and he kept coming in right into those knees. He's a long dude, and he likes to play that flying knee game. Back, he likes going backwards and catching you coming in. So he's actually really good at fighting pressure fighters. If they're just pressuring, it's not a real he didn't really pressure him in a smart way. There wasn't no feints. There wasn't like, you know, I'm gonna come at him with a different approach. I'm gonna come out there and I'm gonna press him, and you're gonna see what it really is to pressure. It's gonna be a good fight, man. It's like I said. This is what I've been telling everybody. If this guy comes in shape, then this fight can go 3 rounds and it's going to be a great fight. But if he doesn't come in shape, I'm taking his ass out.
Well, I'm looking at different films of him. His conditioning is, it's not great, man, especially if he gets to grappling and stuff. Suspect. You say it's definitely what? Yes, it's suspect, it's man. Suspect. It's suspect. So by the time he gets around 2 or 3, I think he should be declining. If you fight the right fight and you push his anaerobic and aerobic systems in the right way. Yeah, man, I think this is the worst opponent that you face yet. Not to say he's bad, and that's not saying he's bad. He's not. He's probably the best athlete you face yet. But like, as far as skill, he's not as good as Andre Sukumtai. He's not as great of a challenge. I think that this is an awesome opportunity for you not only win, but how are you looking forward to getting a finish here? Can we see a finish from Albert Morales? That would speak volumes.
Definitely, man. And this is the reason, like you're saying, you know, he's definitely the most, I think I'd give him the athletic part. I think Benito has everything what it takes to become a champion as far as athletic ability. You know, this kid, he's very explosive. He's long for the division. He's tall for the division. Like, he's got everything, man. He kind of reminds me of like not as good, but I mean, reminds me of like a Max Holloway kind of type of guy. So I think he has all the potential in the world. But as far as the guys that I fought, I you know, there are a couple of steps ahead of him, and I think he's got a lot of growing up to do. Yes, for sure. And the cool thing about this fight is that I believe that this finish can come from anywhere, man. I know I'm gonna smoke him on the ground. If it gets to the ground, it's either gonna be a TKO or it's gonna be a submission.
Yeah, that's the same thing that I was thinking, because his ground game coming from Alpha Male is weird, but his ground game. I mean, he got to the ground against who is that, Peterson, and he was stuck on bottom side control, and he didn't do anything. He just laid on his back, man. So I'm not really impressed by what I'm seeing from the Alpha Male product. I saw him guillotine somebody. He probably has good submissions, but his overall jiu-jitsu game, especially from the back, if you're not in his guard and he's not using that length, it looks like trash once you get to a dominant position on him.
Yeah, definitely. And me and my team are, you know, we've seen it. We broke it down. It's really, you know, I'm still preparing as if he's Brett Johns. I'm preparing as if he's, you know, Augusto Mendes or Joe Soto. That doesn't take away how hard I'm preparing on the ground. My ground, like I said, I lost to Brett Johns on the ground. That broke me. So I'm like, what the hell? Time to live back in jiu-jitsu. I've done competitions in jiu-jitsu. I've done 2 since then. I'm back in the gym.
Okay, what level were the competitions? What competitions did you do?
I competed in the IBJJF tournament, and I competed in the NABJJF tournament, which are two, like, NABJJF is like one of it's the biggest local tournaments around here. They go all over the place. And then IBJJF are like the international. Those are the top tournaments that you can go to for jiu-jitsu. But I compete at purple belt level.
How'd you do?
Oh, I ended up having 5 matches. I ended up losing to the winner in both. So I got 3rd place in both my tournaments.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're not going in, like, obviously you want to go into these tournaments to win, you know, but me and my professor, we're going in there to practice game plan. Like, it's literally game plan for what we were doing for this fight. And the best thing is we got 5 matches. You know what I mean? Usually you lose, you're out. So we had 5 matches, which actually worked out better for us when I lost in the semifinals, because that gave me an extra match. So it was awesome,
this gi or no gi?
Both.
Both, okay.
Both. Yeah, one was a double weekend. So we've been killing it, man. We've been working really hard, getting back to the drawing boards. You know, working fundamentals. Game plan's not too complicated, man. The biggest thing is to be in shape and just be mentally sharp. You know, we're excited. We're excited for this matchup. I'm ready to you know, knock out or finish Benito. And then get on to, I got 3 tournaments lined up after this. I'm going to Arizona for the IBJJF Arizona. Then I'm going to go to New York for IBJJF New York. And then I'm going to finish it off in Chicago for Carlson Gracie IBJJF. Our big tournament is in Chicago. So I'm going to go out there, represent Carlson Gracie team again, and then get right back into fight mode, hopefully fight like March. So I'm prepping for the future, man. I'm excited. I'm not looking past Benito, but we're 100% confident in how hard we work, and we're about to finish this dude.
You train at Black House still? Where are you training out of now? Are you satisfied with that setting, or have you ever thought about maybe trying to switch it up? How you feel about your training location?
No. My teams are my teams, man. We're more than a team. It's like family, brotherhood. So I don't believe in switching up teams. My main gyms, Black House is they're family. They're one of my main gyms. Coach Kenny Johnson will forever be my wrestling coach, and those guys will forever be my brothers. But those guys came afterwards. I've always been at under my coach, Coach James Teal. That guy is I'm gonna die with that dude. And then my lineage is Carlson Gracie under Andrea Vasconcelos. So those two, Carlson Gracie and the movement boxing, those are like my staples. That's where I'm going to go no matter what. This camp, I stepped away from Black House. I wanted to come back to the roots, to what got me to the UFC. So I kind of stepped away from Black House a little bit, not because of them, just because I wanted to get myself back into this dark place. And I had to go back to what I did when I first started. So I went back to the movement boxing and Carlson Gracie for this camp. and yeah, I'll never leave. I'll never leave those teams. Neither Black House either. But as far as my staples, it's got to be the movement boxing, Carlson Gracie, and then my Black House family for sure.
All right, Albert. That's I told you I only needed a couple minutes. Of course, you really seem geek for this. You gave me a lot more information than I thought I'd get. But thanks for stopping by the School of Black Negro Jitsu today, man. Excellent to have you, and I hope to have you back. I don't know when you'll be back. I know you. We'll have you back sometime, but I don't know. Any shout outs?
Man, you can let me know whenever you guys want me, man. If you guys want to break down some fights, I'm always down, bro.
I know. I don't use you enough, man. I should have you a lot more. I need an exciting finish or something that I can ride to an Albert Morales live stream or something like that. Oh man, but yeah. Hope you enjoyed our conversation with Albert Warrior Morales. I'm super confident that he takes this fight against Benito Lopez after I watched film on Lopez gassing out. He's still young. He's still young and raw. So I like Albert Morales. Albert Morales has only lost to top level fighters. Thomas Almeida, Brett Johns. I don't think Benito Lopez is either of those guys. So I like him a lot this upcoming weekend. But let's preview the rest of the card. Antonio Braganetto versus Trevin Giles. I got Braganetto. He hadn't fought in like 2 years, but black belt versus Trevin Giles. Trevin Giles didn't have an elite. So I see it going one of two ways. Antonio Braganetto dominates with his grappling, or he gets outstruck to a loss late. But early, he should have the edge grappling. He's a top-level black belt. Chris Gutzemacher versus David Ramos. I'm going to take black belt David Ramos. Alejandro Perez versus Ari Alcantara. I guess Alcantara should win, but he can lose to anybody, so who knows for him. Frankie Saenz versus Merab Davidishvili. I don't know. Alex Perez versus Carl John DeThomas. I don't know. Neither do I care. Luke Sanders versus Andre Sukumta. Luke Sanders all day. Alexis Davis versus Liz Carmouche. I'm going to take the Gorilla. What is Liz Carmouche's nickname? Isn't the Gorilla or something? Girl-rilla. There it is.
I'm looking at her. She definitely looks like a good girl-rilla right now.
I'm going to take Girl-rilla, Liz Carmouche over Alexis Davis. Of course, Albert Morales over Benito Lopez. And what should be good early, but should have turned into a blowout late. I'm going to take your boy, Eric Anders, over Marcus Perez. Marcus Perez doesn't look like he's too good at all, for real. I don't know. Eric Anders should. I'm figuring he should knock him out. Eric Anders is still pretty raw himself, but he seems to do everything except for jiu-jitsu better, I guess. Scott Holtzman, Derek Holcher. I don't know. It should be a great fight. I'm going to take St. Horcher, though. I think he's got more power, but that's a toss-up. Funk Master all day over Marlon Moraes. Let's take Jason the Kid over Gabriel Benitez. Should be a great fight though. Benitez is tough. He shouldn't. And then of course Brian Ortega in the third round, all day over Cub Swanson, because Brian Ortega always wins in the third round because his mama had a dream. So I'm always on Brian Ortega in the third round. That's how I likes to roll. Yeah, that's fight night 123. Should be an exciting fight card. Dave, what do you think of the fight card? Anything you're excited about? No, yes, no.
So I'm definitely excited for the main event. I think that should definitely be a scrap. I think Ortega versus Swanson is definitely going to be a good fight. I think the most important question I had about this fight card was, is Eric Anders still mad at you?
Oh, Eric Anders? I don't know, man. We gotta sneak and get him on the show, man. I need you to send him a message and we'll get him on. But don't tell him that he won't even remember. But I said he was a great prospect. I just didn't think he needed to be owned at 100% versus said opponent. You know, because he was more experienced against. Who did he fight last fight? Who was that?
I can't remember who it was, but
he was
very upset at you. He's very upset at you.
Rafael Natal. I felt like, he's a great pick. He could definitely win, but he's raw in every area. And you know how fighters be all sensitive and shit, man. I don't know. I never said he was a bad fighter, but he, it was right before the fight. I guess he should feel like me against the fucking world, coming in on short notice and all that kind of stuff like that. But
Yeah, I definitely want to see Aljamain Sterling versus Marlon Moraes. I don't think Marlon Moraes has looked that impressive since he's been in the UFC.
No,
who's his last win against? I want to say was it John Dodson?
I thought John Dodson won that fight.
Me too, and I feel like he got away with a bullshit decision, and I just want to see New York's own Aljamain Sterling, Funk Master, really give him some work. So
Funk Master is gonna funk him up.
I agree. So those are two of the fights that I'm really excited for on this card. The rest of the card looks like it could be one of those cards that could either just be a snooze fest or could be surprisingly good. So I hope it's surprisingly good, and I hope it's not a snooze fest. So,
alrighty, let's go ahead and get into some random news here. The Kinahan family, I guess, is after Conor McGregor, Kinahan cartel. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if it's even real, but they're speculating that Conor McGregor was in a brawl with some Irish gangsters. They had to leave the country because they got into it with him and everything. Do you think there's any reality to this? I figure if Conor McGregor gets into a brawl, there will be cell phone footage of it. What do you think, Dave? I mean, do you think this is even real?
I'm not sure what to think. There was a whole article about Conor possibly having some Irish mob ties in some way, shape, or form. I do kind of agree where you would possibly see maybe some cell phone footage. It might be a publicity stunt. I really don't know much about the whole situation besides what I've been reading. I think it's more a PR move than something real. I do agree. I feel like if he got into a bar brawl, I feel like you would have seen some cell phone footage by now. But who knows? It looked like it was a really rural Irish bar, so maybe there were no cell phones there. So I don't know what to make of it. But I don't see him getting into with his celebrity, and I know he's a tough dude and all, but I don't see any reason for him to get into a bar brawl. It looked like a PR headline grab. So that's my thought process on it.
Yeah, I don't know. Magana was mad about the stoppage in her fight against ABC Bobby Cooper. I didn't see the problem with it. She was absolutely getting her ass whipped. I don't see why she needed to get her ass whipped any worse than what she did. In Ryan James, it doesn't always have to go to Ryan James, Neil Magny type purport, levels in order for the fight to be stopped. You don't have to always go flat and get woken back up in order for us to justify a stoppage. But she wants equal rights in fights. She wants to lure girls to take beatings too. I guess she's right. If she wasn't a girl, they probably would have let her keep getting her ass whipped. But everything in that fight went wrong. I mean, her titty fell out. She was getting beaten down. I mean, it probably needed to stop. It was probably for her own good. What do you think? Do you think that the girl should be allowed to take worse beatings?
I'm all for equal rights in fights if that's what's necessary. And I think that's just. I think the refs. A lot of them have a certain bias. Not towards gender, but towards the fighter's body of work. And let's be honest here, Angela's body of work is her usually getting the shit kicked out of her. So I think she should just be happy that the ref wasn't a Cyborg fan and didn't let ABC beat up on her a little bit more. I think obviously it's human intuition and human decisiveness, right, for a ref to come in and try and stop a fight. But usually it feels like bias for a ref is, once again, to reiterate, is just towards the fighter's body of work. So if a fighter has shown that they could take a prolonged beating, get back up, and stay in the fight and possibly win that fight, I feel like refs will give them a little bit more leeway before they stop the fight. For example, in the Aldo Holloway fight, the ref actually said, "Jose, defend yourself, or I'm going to stop the fight," and ended up calling off the fight. Magana has done nothing to prove the fact that she could take a beating. So until she could do something like that, I don't think she personally deserves that much rope to take an ass kicking. But
yeah, you got to be like a champion or a veteran or something like that in order to get your ass whipped really bad. You got
to be somebody who's known to be able to take a beating and get the hell back up. And she just takes beatings. So, that's about it in my opinion.
Ariany Celeste just made a music video called Zoo. Have you watched it yet?
I actually have not. I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, I guess it just came out today. She's launching a music career. She looks beautiful. I mean, wonderful. That's all it takes to have a successful music career, right? I don't know if she can actually sing, but when do these ladies in music actually sing? It's always taped and recorded, and all you got to do is be able to dance and have a nice look, and you're in, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming she's probably not even writing her own songs. I'm assuming she's got a ghostwriter and somebody
writes. Who does write their own songs in the R&B business?
I agree, and I think if she's got a look and she's got she's definitely got the looks, and if there's the right marketability behind her, maybe she can have some type of career for herself. So she's definitely got the look aspect of it down.
Oh yeah, that's what you gotta have now. I don't know if she has a special something that draws people in. But shit, man, I think she's gonna do. She looks good enough. She should do just fine. I don't see too much. What the hell? I guess Anderson Silva and Roy Jones Jr. talking about a super fight. That was cool like 10 years ago, guys. Let that shit die. I ain't tripping, man.
If they don't do this fight, they might do a remix to "Y'all Must Have Forgot."
Oh shit, man! These old fighters living in the fucking past, man. Let that ship sail. I guess last but not least, let's talk about EBI 14, man. And one of our guests, Craig Jones, did absolutely spectacular. I think that he finished his first 3 opponents in a combined 46 seconds. That's not 46 seconds for each fight. That's 46 seconds to finish each person. So it was 13, 20, and like another 13 or something like that. Absolutely spectacular. Had the king of EBI, Gordon Ryan, about finished, and had the armbar locked in. I'm pretty sure that Gordon Ryan's. It was kind of weird because the announcer was talking about that Jones had talked about a lot of people allowing their arm to break and just escaping the armbar, and that's what Gordon Ryan did. He allowed that elbow capsule, I'm assuming, to pop and break and just pull it out, and was able to sink in the rear naked choke to finish. Man, Craig Jones is taking the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world by storm, Dave. What do you think of that?
I mean, his star just keeps growing and growing. Obviously, as a guest of our show, right, I was rooting for him. My bias was with him. He just doesn't disappoint, right? After that amazing ADCC showing, he just fucking stormed EBI, and the fact that he stopped every one of his opponents in amazing time and gave everything to Gordon Ryan and literally had him, possibly seconds away from losing. I called that from when I saw the brackets come out, and then on opposite sides of the brackets, I assumed that would end up being the final. I didn't expect Craig to be as dominant in all his fights to the lead up as he was. But Gordon Ryan is just something else. This kid's just one of the filthiest no-gi grapplers I've ever seen. I don't know what's next for this guy. I'm assuming there's possibly an MMA career in it for him, because I know Gary Tonin, I think, just signed with one championship. So it's possible he probably signed somewhere in Asia, or he does something soon, because this kid is just a beast, and I don't know who could beat him in a no-gi submission only type of match. So
Yeah, who Gordon Ryan? I mean, Craig Jones pretty much had him beat. It was pretty much a stalemate until the overtime, and I think Craig Jones. Well, Gordon Ryan is going to the hospital. Craig Jones is going to the bar party. So I think Craig Jones won in theory. You know what I'm saying? How that saying goes. So Gordon Ryan took the worst of that shit for sure, man. That arm, he did not look happy after that win at all. He's a true warrior. I was talking about Charles Oliveira earlier. That's what it takes to be a champion, man. You gotta be able to tough through the moments like Gordon Ryan went through in order to get to that championship level. Charles Oliveira just doesn't have that. But that about does it for the School of Black Negro Jiu-Jitsu for this week. Oh, we've got pour tous mes amis français. I've got an interview for you. Thiabault Gouti. We had him on the show. We actually were talking about Francis Ngannou, his trainer Fernand Lopez. Thiabault Gouti has some very interesting things to say about him. So I hope you guys enjoy the interview with Thiabault Gouti. I hope you guys join us for the MMA Fantasy Podcast. Black Market Picks is going to be back this week. And I hope you guys check into the School of Black Negro Jiu-Jitsu next week. Thiabault Gouti. Au revoir, mes amis. Thiabault Gouti. Soyez le bienvenu à l'école de Black Negro Jitsu. Thiabault Gouti. Welcome to the School of Black Negro Jitsu. Excellent to have you here. My first ever Frenchman. I speak pretty good French myself. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. You're speaking good French too, so that's good. I'm very happy to be on your podcast.
Excellent to have you. One of the few Frenchmen in mixed martial arts. I wanted to know, and if you have any problems in with my English, I'll just say it in French for you.
Okay.
But being a Frenchman, is very hard because if I'm not mistaken, mixed martial arts is still illegal in France. So how did you get into mixed martial arts as a Frenchman? How did you navigate that?
So I first taught. I first taught 5 years ago in France, and in France, so like you say before, this is illegal. So we do like we call and everybody call pancras. So you can strike on stand up, but when you go on the ground, you can only wrestle or grapple. So this is a totally different sport.
You can't use the palms, the palms to the head.
No. You can use nothing. You when you go on the ground, you can hit. You can throw any hit. This is forbidden.
I remember, if you remember, Baz Rutten, Frank Shamrock, Ken Shamrock, they were all pancration fighters, and I remember them using the open palm strike to the head. So that's not legal anymore in pancrase?
I mean, that was in China or Japan. I don't remember exactly. But we live in France. In France, everything is about paper, documentation, administration. Everybody is very scared or do things. But this is a business thing. This is why they don't make the MMA legal in France, because MMA take over all combat sports. We know this. And in France, the Federation of Judo is very big, and they don't want to see all their students go to MMA. That's just a business things.
Yeah, I heard that the Judo Federation has been the biggest obstacle to the legalization of MMA in France. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. That because MMA, it's like judo. It's only one sport. MMA, it's like every sport or every combat sport. So when you're gonna bring this to people, they're gonna be like amazed, and they're gonna leave the judo, because if you talk judo is good, okay, that's a good sport, I like it, but this is very unidimensional, so you can only do some things and don't do other things. There is no KO. This is not very spectacular like MMA. So they want to protect this because they know they're going to lose many people.
And is judo the biggest is it the biggest martial art in France, or boxing? What's the most popular martial art in France?
Yeah, I think judo, because there is French people, they are very good at kickboxing. Boxing, not that much. Boxing was declining. Before were very good, but I think right now the people who have the most license in France is the judo. Yeah.
Ah, okay. And you, if I'm not mistaken, did you start off in kickboxing and then switched over to pancration and subsequently martial arts, mixed martial arts?
No, so me, I start. I start doing. I start doing grappling in the hood with people. There was no really trainer and everything like this. So I start.
Wait a
Yeah,
minute, you said the hood, so you
yeah,
mean
yeah,
the ghetto, the French
yeah, yeah.
ghetto?
Because
Okay.
yeah, that's right. Because in France, the only people who do combat sport, that's the Maghrebian people. Moroccan, Tunisian, Algerian, and
Where
more.
the most of my French pen pals are
Uh-huh.
Maghrebian, so they're from Algeria
Uh-huh.
or from also a little. Well, I don't know if the Mayotte is a part of Maghreb. That's a French territory though. But a lot of my French pen pals come from the Maghreb.
Yeah. So, and they are very strong, and because of the history, they used to be oppressed by the French people, so they had to be strong. So they start to do like boxing, kickboxing, karate, and they were very good. So that the only people who do this, because the other part of France, they do like more football, rugby, tennis, judo, and this type of people, they do boxing, kickboxing, and they are very good, man. This is why after they do this in the hood to calm the people.
I see. And is Francis Ngannou is Cameroon? Is that a part of the Maghreb? No. Yes. Yes. No.
No. Cameroon
Okay.
is in Africa, and it's kind of French because the French people colonized the Cameroon.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
that's
It's not.
not French. I mean, I don't think he consider himself as a French, and I don't think he's French too, even if I have been in France.
I see. So you started grappling in the French ghettos. So what would you consider the base of your style? Because I would think it was strongest in the striking, but
Yeah,
how do you feel about it?
yeah. So I first start by grappling, and I was so like I told you, in the hood, and I was doing this, but no people wanted to go. They didn't want to compete, and I was staying there training, but I wasn't competing. But I didn't know how to throw one punch or something like this. So I moved. I was I moved. I went to another city, and I went to another gym, and I went in this gym, and the people were more like competition. In the competition style, they were doing more competition, and so they knew how to strike. And I start to train with them, and they kick me very bad. Like
So you say
I,
they kicked your ass, huh?
yeah, they kick my ass very bad. And so when I saw this, I say, I'm not gonna stay like this. I'm gonna do something. So I went in another gym, in another hood where I moved, and I start to do boxing. And after, I start to like to do boxing and striking and everything. And now I think I'm more a striker than a grappler.
And okay, being a Frenchman, France doesn't have the strongest wrestling programs. Like you said, judo is probably the premier
Mm-hmm.
art in France. So, how hard has it been for you to kind of transition from the MMA on the French regional scene, which I believe did not include ground and pound, to your career in the cage organization and also the UFC? Like, what have been the hardest points for you?
So I don't think I had a hardest point, because I used to, even when I was doing these pancreation things, I was striking people and they went down and I choked them. So I have a lot of submission because of this. But the thing is that I start my first MMA fight in 2015. So I had a lot of fight before, but that was pancras. And I start my first MMA fight in 2015, and I didn't feel I didn't feel no problem on the ground with the strike, with the ground and pound. I didn't feel no problem. But after when I joined UFC and I start to fight people who knows the style of ground and pound, that was a little bit harder. But I never really have issues with the ground and pound. Just more with the wrestling because many Americans people are very good at wrestling.
Oh, okay. So the wrestling was your hardest thing, and how have you dealt with that? Do you think that is that why you decided to move over here to Jackson Winklejohns and start training? Is to try and tighten up your game? Because I've been seeing you. I mean, especially in the Olivier Aubin Mercier fight.
That's the point.
Yeah, you were much improved, even in that fight, in your grappling. I was very impressed by what I saw. And I think it really all came together against Andrew Holbrook, who's a very, very tough grappler. But is that why you decided to move over here stateside, is to improve your grappling, or did you just want a better camp overall?
So the thing is, like you said before, the MMA was illegal in France. So I did my first MMA fight 2015. I went to the TUF, and after I did another MMA fight, and after they asked me for UFC. The thing is that when I did my first fight with UFC, I lost very bad, very quick. But I wasn't ready. I just broke my hand on the fight before in November, so I was very mad. And I say, I just joined the UFC. I can train good in France. There is no wrestler, there is no boxer, so I have to go overseas, because this is where everything happened. This is where all the best gym in the world are, and so I finish ending up in Jackson Wing. But still, after this, I fought Aubin Mercier, who was a very good wrestler, and I wasn't ready. So we can see in the fight that I stopped many takedowns, but at the end, it took me down and it took my energy off. But after I work on that, and now I think I'm good, because if you look all my fight, I only fight quasi southpaw wrestlers, so that's kind of the hardest opponent that you can have in a cage, huh?
Oh yes, it is. But I think you've been doing very well. Now, there's a fight camp that I love. The name escapes me at this point, but Taylor Lapalus and Francis Ngannou. It's in Paris. A black guy runs it. He's I think it's one of the best camps. Oh, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. That's not one of the best camp, no.
You don't think so?
This is not. I don't think so. I'm sure it's not.
Well, I think their fighters do very well, though. They've all done well in the UFC. What trainer am I talking about? The black guy,
Lopez.
Yes, Fernand Lopez. Is that it?
Yeah. I think no. I don't think, because I know I have a friend of mine who trained in his camp, and I've talked with people, and they told me they don't like. So this is just like powder on your eyes, Like you think that's good because they do a lot of media, a lot of videos and everything, but after there is nothing. There is many people who leave his gym because he's too he think he's dunking or something like this. I heard that
Really?
and I heard that even he makes the people call him Don at the gym, or something like this, Don King, or I don't know. Me, I'm a very simple person. I don't like these type of things,
So you say he's not very humble. Because I've seen his fighters in the UFC, and they all, especially for coming from France, Lapalus, Lebu, Ngannou, they've all done very well for
I'm not talking about the fighter. I'm talking about him, and especially because I have no problem with anybody, but one time he put a post on me, and I didn't like it because he tried to make his gym better, bringing me down with another fighter who is in the USA, and I didn't like it because I never talk about him or his method or something like this. When I know the truth, man, I'm training in the best gym in the world, so I know what is good and what is not good, no?
I see. So, I used to think that he was one of the better trainers out
No,
there
no.
because of the results. So you think he just got a hold of some good talent in Lapalus and Ngannou and those guys?
Of course, man. Of course. Well, he never create nothing. He never. If you can name me one fighter that he trained since he's young to UFC, I will tell you okay. But if you take Michael Lebu, he was already good. Everybody know this. Lapillus, he was already good. Francis was already good. This is just like a trampoline, you know? A trampoline. What is a trampoline? Like this is not just like a, yeah, like in French. This is just like a bounce, you know? They came to this.
Trampoline.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is just like a bounce. He's not training people since they are young and bring him his knowledge or something like this, like the gym I'm right now. You can see from a teenager to adult, they build people and they get very good. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. Okay, well, I learned something. Now let's talk about your UFC career here for a while. Got off to a rough start.
Yeah.
3 straight losses. How was that? How did you feel about maybe being labeled as being chinny, easy to knock out, and stuff like that? Like, what are your emotions about those 3 fights? What do you think went wrong? I know it went wrong in the Olivier Elba Mercier fight, but in the Laprise and Packlin fights, you were caught and finished quickly.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel? Did you ever feel like hanging it up or anything? Or what do you think? Why do you think your first 3 or the 2 fights where you were knocked out, why that happened the way it did?
So the first fight I did, that was a mistake from me because before this I was undefeated. Okay. I just lose 1 fight by majority decision at the TUF against David Temur, who is a very tough fighter. You can see right now he's one of the best.
Yes, I saw that fight.
So, and I think for my part that was a controversial decision, but he was good and he beat me. That the result at the end. So after I fought and I broke my hand and I didn't train and UFC called me. UFC called me 11 days before the fight against Pacalen. And I didn't train during 2-3 months, and I got a bit cocky, you know. I said, okay, I'm gonna beat him very easy with one hand. I said this to my manager at this time, and that was a mistake from me. And so I accept this fight, and I lose. I lost very bad, and that was like kind of a punishment. And for me, that was really bad because I was undefeated. And after I say, oh, I just come to UFC, so I lost. Now the people are gonna say. Everything I did before was bullshit and everything. So I just try to show to everybody that I'm a good fighter. So I accept a fight 2 months after against Aubin Mercier without preparation, and I fought and I lost. And same thing goes through my mind. And so I accept 2 months after a fight against Charles Laprise. I have a very bad cutting and everything. So I was just, my mind was just, hey, I need to win to show everything. So I didn't took my time. I just rushed to my first win, and I think that was my mistake.
I see. So do you think that you have problems with your durability or your ability to stay conscious, not get knocked out? Or do you think that it was more of a mental thing and you were rushing yourself?
No. I have no problem with my chin or something like this. I train every day here I spar with welterweight, middleweight, and there is a lot of UFC fighter, and I never even get knocked down or a bit dizzy on a punch. That just the thing is that there is a whole situation about fighting in UFC. You have to take care about the weight and everything, and how you hit and everything around the pressure and everything. And for my fight against Pacalen and Chad Laprise, I had a very bad cutting. Even him, Chad Laprise, when I fought him, he didn't make weight. And me, I forced myself to make weight. And that was the worst cutting I never did in all my life. So that was, I'm not saying that's an excuse, because after I accept, they asked me if I want to do the fight. And I say yes. But I just say you have to be you have to have many precautions about when you fight, about your cutting, because when you lose that much water in your brain, after you can get just one punch and you go down because there is not enough water in your brain. You know what I mean?
I see. So you think that the your lack of durability or chinniness was due to the extreme weight cut?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, in all my life, I never been, I take hard punch in training, in fight, and I never goes down. Even when I fought this man in Finland, he knocked me down, but I recover very fast. So I never have this issue, and I will never have this kind of issue.
Because you've improved your weight cutting?
Yeah, of course. Now I go. Before I used to be like between 180 and 185 a week before the fight, and now I try to be 170, 175. Like this, I only have to cut like 10, 50 pounds, 15 pounds, and that's already a lot, you know. So
I see what you're saying. So now you want to try and cut less weight. All right, excellent. Good to know. I've always wondered because a lot of people, especially in my fantasy circle, they always say, "Oh, Thiabault Gouti, he's chinny, such and such and such and such."
yeah, it's chinny. Yeah, I bet we're gonna see now. Now I'm doing good. We're gonna see if I'm chinny, and you can ask the trainer or people around me if I'm chinny. He's gonna tell you if I'm not chinny at all.
Okay, so what do you? I don't see any fights scheduled for you. When do you
No.
think your next fight is, or where do you want it to be?
I don't know yet. I'm talking right now to know because you know, even if I did good in my last fight, I still lose 3 fights before. So I need to talk with the matchmaker and see what is going to do for me. But I think maybe and I hope I'm gonna fight soon. Like I would like to fight in beginning of next year. That will be
Okay.
good. Yeah, I would like him.
All right. Stay on the line. I got to get some fight picks from you, but that's it. Thank you for your contribution. Merci beaucoup pour la contribution à l'école de BlackNegroJitsu. Thank you for your contribution to the School of BlackNegroJitsu, my friend. If you have any shout outs in English, in French, go ahead and do those now, but stay on the line. I got to get your fight picks from you.
Okay.
No shout outs?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Thiabault Gouti, for your contribution to the School of BlackNegroJitsu today.